past the halfway point. Wow, we're moving fast now. We'll be switching gears from concentrating on the application alone now. But don't forget to keep moving that application writing forward. These next several modules will address issues both in and out of the written document itself. Well, one of the complex matters in making a grant application is working with the program officers, POs, or other contact points that help administer grants and liaison with the PIs. It's complex because in general they want to talk to you, but they're very, very busy. So it can be hard to get in touch with them, and it feels like they don't have much time for you. But at the same time, they really do want to talk to their prospective PIs. So the best thing we can do as applicants is plan to talk to them, but be prepared to do it in a way that helps optimize the time. That way we and they get the most out of the experience. Now, when I mention program officers or contacts, I'm talking about the professionals that you talk to about the details of the solicitation and your application to it. They are not people to complain about technical issues or talk to about training. The POs are who you go to in order to ask specific questions about the program and solicitation. Questions you might ask include things like, is my grant a good fit for your program? That's the top, most likely one. It's always good to check and see if there are suggestions or insights that they can offer on improving the targeting of the application. So, remember when we've looked at solicitations that there is usually a contact point or even several contact points listed. We haven't gone into that in detail before, but this is the time. Contacts may be general or specialized. Among some funders, there's a small team of contacts, and they're all general contacts for everything. In those cases, there's no particular reason to prefer one over another. Sometimes the lead contact is listed first, but others they're just alphabetical. So you can try contacting the first, and if that doesn't work, the second, and then so on. Always carbon copy or CC people you've had previous contact with when you switch contacts, so the first contact knows you're following up with someone else, and so you don't end up with two people trying to get in touch with you. In other programs, there may be specialized contacts for particular purposes. The most common is to have one program officer for scientific questions and another for non-scientific questions. So, an example there might be that you would ask the non-scientific PO about whether there was another grant cycle anticipated to fund after this deadline. But you might ask a scientific PO whether the program supports simulation research or is restricted to only field studies. So, as far as figuring out who the contacts are, that's clearly in the solicitation. Here are some examples from different types of funding agencies. The Mellon Foundation, the NSF, and the NIH. The NIH links them from the solicitation. It's not directly in the solicitation text all the time. But so you see that having some sort of program officer listed is pretty universal. Before you approach your PO, you should be prepared. The chances are they won't be able to talk to you just then, but just in case, you should always be ready. There are two things that you will want to make your life easier when you talk to a PO about your project. One is an elevator speech, and the other is a summary. What's an elevator speech? It's a very short spoken description of the project you want to do. We call it an elevator speech because it should be short enough that if you were getting on an elevator and someone asked, "So, what project are you here to present?" then you could tell them before you got off the elevator. So the aim is 90 seconds or less. That is hard, but writing it and practicing it is useful. I've had a lot of faculty members say that they hated it at first, but it had come in useful in so many situations. Your elevator speech should include one short statement each on what you were doing, how you were doing it, why you were doing it scientifically, and why you are doing it in the big picture. So, an example elevator speech might be something like, Our project is working on a new immunoassay for indirect detection of breast tissue antigens. We're working to isolate another antigen that is known to occur with the better known antigens. If it works, it would be a possible new indicator to check for early breast tumors through a blood test. This could really help screen for cases of triple-negative breast cancer patients, the ones that you can't detect by the 3 established tests. Did I make it under 90 seconds? I hope so! See what I did there, though? I had 4 sentences, all pretty short, and I hit what the project is working on, a little bit of the science of how it's doing it, the scientific promising step that it could maybe be an indicator that maybe will be a blood test later. That's important because, as we all know, science is incremental. It's step by step, so it's not like you can take it all the way to the new blood test necessarily. Don't make crazy claims about what you can do. Anyway, and then I closed with why we should care, what problem it is aimed at solving. They're in that order for a reason. The first and last parts of what you say is always a little bit more memorable than the middle is. So you start with the project and end with the big picture future value. But the middle is important to show that you've got a plan, so don't neglect it. A short, easy statement of the plan. Here's the part people hate. Once you have that statement, you have to practice saying it until you can do it without reading it under 90 seconds, even if you're not expecting it. You may want to have friends ask for your elevator speech at unexpected times once you've had some practice time. You want to be able to do it when random faculty or researchers or whoever asks you about what you're working on. That way it will be smooth when you tell it to the PO too. The other thing that you need to have is a project summary, some sort of short version, a précis or abstract or whatever that summarizes your project plan. Remember, it needs to be clear how it relates to the solicitation too. The basic way to do this is to take the sentences you started putting in the summary section last time, those key response sentences for the solicitation, and any logic chain explanation pieces that needed to go with them. Put those together in the summary and add only as many other sentences as needed to make it flow. That should give you at least a rough summary to work with. As you polish your project plan, you'll also polish the summary, but this will give you something that if the PO asks you to send a short project description, you'll have it to send. After you are ready with these things, you should email the PO and ask them for an appointment time that you can call her or him. Any day of the week is okay, but when possible, I suggest avoiding Mondays because they will probably have more email in the PO's office then left over from the weekend. Email briefly who you are, what solicitation program you're interested in, what you want to ask about, and what some good times to call are. So for example, I might say, "Hello, name. I'm Nina Exner from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. I'm interested in applying to the solicitation name, such as maybe REU sites. I was wondering if I might schedule a time to talk with you about whether my proposal would fit in the program's current interests. I can usually talk on Monday and Friday mornings or Tuesday all day. Is there any time I could call you? Kind regards, Nina." And then send it. If they email back, schedule a time to call and talk. If they don't, wait 6 business days, that's a week and a day. And then call them too. Have your elevator speech ready just in case. Plan to say something like, "Hi, I'm Nina from NCA&T University. I emailed you last week about the REU site program, but I never got an email back. I was wondering, could we find a time to talk?" If it's voicemail, then leave your email and number. If you get them on the line live, then great. Go ahead and talk to them or schedule the phone meeting. They might even have time to talk to you then and ask you what your proposal is about, which is why you want that elevator speech ready. If you email and then you call and still no response in another day or two, then try the next contact down the line if there is one. Don't take it personally. Some POs are more responsive than others. They might be out making site visits or on other business. You never know. remember to CC the first contact if you move on to the second contact. If there's only one contact, it might be harder. Try emailing again, and if that doesn't work, then talk to your Office of Sponsored Research to see if they have suggestions of who to reach next. Chances are good that they'll ask at some point for you to email them that project summary. So, that's why you wanted to have that ready before this. Keep it to a page or less. If it's too long, they won't read the whole thing, and they might miss an essential point. Then, remember that they are not the merit reviewers, but they do know the program well. They can't make any promises, but they may make suggestions or have feedback. Take notes on that and respond to them in your application writing process. So there you go. Remember that the POs really want to talk to their PIs, so it's a great idea to make that contact in advance. They usually have valuable suggestions, and if you get the grant, you'll also already have familiarity with them. That's very helpful too. Thanks for listening. This has been Nina with Module 7 of the UNC Systems Professional Science Master's Program course on the Fundamentals of Grantsmanship.